What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my post-combine mock draft. This is not in fantasy football terms. This is what I think will go down in the NFL draft this year. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe for more content. I'm about to jump into the dynasty football realm, but wanted to also do some real football content. So we'll go ahead and start off, the new year with this video right here. Post-combine, I'm recording this on 3/3 of 2024, and it is 4:43 currently. And we'll go ahead and get started. I do think that Justin Fields will get traded. I think it's inevitable. I honestly think he'll end up going to the Falcons, with him being at Georgia, them saying they want to do right by him. I think the Falcons would love to have a guy like Justin Fields. Now, who knows? There's been rumors that they're linked to maybe even Kirk Cousins. But honestly, I think that fit just is too perfect, and I really hope Justin Fields goes there and gets another chance. But with that being said, long story short, the number one pick, I'm not switching it up or anything. I do think Caleb Williams will end up going first. He gets the Mahomes comparisons. I think that's a little bit of a lofty expectation for a guy. Sorry, I thought my phone was ringing. But, Caleb Williams going one here. And then at number two, there's multiple things that could happen here. With Cliff Kingsbury coming in, I feel like a dual threat type quarterback would make more sense than Jaden Daniels. I do, however, think that Drake May is also a very good quarterback. So with that being said, I am going to go Jaden Daniels. Although I do really like Drake May. I'm doing what I think will happen. And this is what I think will happen. Sorry. My nose is messed up now. This is great. What a great start. All right, so with the third overall pick in the draft, there has been links that Baker maybe is in play for the Patriots. For the sake of this mock, I don't know that happens. As a Pats fan, I would love for that to happen because then you could trade down. But I'm doing this with no trades. We're not going to do any. And I'm going to have the Patriots taking Drake May. I really like Drake May. This season wasn't as good as his last, but he did lose a lot of great players that were surrounding him. So, just Drake May. Look at the size, man. 6'4", 230. Like, this dude's a beast. And this one's self-explanatory. One of the best receiver prospects we've seen in a long time. Everybody is obsessed with this man, Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm gonna go with him at 4. And then the Chargers are kind of left with an interesting decision to make. I would think this would probably be a trade down spot for the Chargers. But like I said, there is no trades in this one. It would make sense that they would go get a guy like Malik Neighbors. Joe Alt could also be in play here. Solidify the tackle positions for Justin Herbert. Makes a lot of sense. But just with how electric Malik Neighbors is, I'm going to take him here. And then the Giants are on the clock here at 6. There's a lot of things they could do, but I really think that a playmaker is much needed in that New York locker room. They haven't had a really, really good pass catcher since Odell Beckham Jr., back whenever that was. So we're going to give them Rome Odunze. He looked really good at the Combine, and then obviously had a phenomenal season at Washington. So we're going to take him there. Now, I think this pick, if the board does land like this, obviously, I think the Tennessee Titans it would make sense for them to take Brock Bowers, but I don't think they do. With the new head coach coming in, he brought his dad, who is the offensive line coach. And why not be like, hey, Dad, look what I've got you. Joe Alt, 6'8", 322 pounds, and let's just look at this. This guy is insane. I watched the 40-yard dash. This man, at 6'8", ran a 5.05.40. And he was pretty explosive off the line, I felt. But, yeah, 1.73. It's top 10. And then he also had a good vertical, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. I did not watch the vertical, so I was mistaken. Did he even do it? All right, well, we're going to act like I didn't say that. But I'm not going to cut that out because I made a mistake, and that's it, part of it. But Joe Alt is headed to the Tennessee Titans. And with pick number 8, with the Falcons trading for Justin Fields, this is what we're going with. I'm going to have them take the best, I think, defensive player in the draft. One of the best for sure. Dallas Turner, edge rusher out of Alabama. 6'4", 242. And the dude tested phenomenal. He's electric. I think he's going to be really good. So he's going to go to the Falcons who need help. And the Bears are honestly in a good spot here. You know, they've got their quarterback. I think this is a deep enough wide receiver class that, you know, with the top 3 guys off the board, there's no need to reach. Let's take one of the best defensive players left in the class, or the second best defensive player in the class. And maybe you could argue them taking a receiver here. Personally, I don't see it. And they really could use some help on the edge, but this is where it gets tough. What would they do? Because they wouldn't take Brock. Nate Wiggins tweaked his groin, but he'll be fine. Byron Murphy in the top 10 is just a little rich for me. I'm going to make a pick. This is the first pick I'm not confident with, but I am going to give them Quinyon Mitchell. Pairing him with Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, and then if one of the two leave, you've got a guy. Here at 10, I think, honestly, the Jets go offensive tackle. This is what they need the most. And I think Fuaga is the most game-ready tackle right now. He tested really well today. And dude is 6'6", 334. He was moving. He looked really good in the screen drill that I watched. And I'm going to give them a game-ready tackle. And, man, the Vikings. You know, this is a tough one, obviously, with free agency not done yet. Do they get a deal done with Kirk Cousins? Where would Kirk Cousins go? For the sake of this mock, I'm going to say he's going back, like I said with Baker. So then you're left with, well, what do they do? Lots of great corners, but Danielle Hunter may not be back. I don't see them working it out to where they're gonna bring him back. And I'm going to give them Leatu Latu. Phenomenal player out of UCLA. Had to medically retire. But if he didn't have the injury concerns, honestly, I think that would just be a slam dunk pick. And the Broncos here, I don't think that Russ is going to be back. It's been rumored. He's been rumored to so many different teams. I'm going to go ahead and give them a quarterback, and I'm going to give them J.J. McCarthy. The other guys, I don't feel like they're Sean Payton-esque, whereas I feel like J.J. McCarthy is a Sean Payton-esque quarterback, if that makes sense. Now, the Raiders are interesting here because they need a quarterback, but you're not reaching here. Like I don't think Bo Nix would get picked here. I think if anything, this would be a trade down spot if they don't like any of the guys. But with the need, I might bump one of these guys up. Now, for some reason, it doesn't feel like Bo Nix to me. It feels like Michael Penix. I'm going based off need. I personally don't think Penix goes that high, but I wouldn't be surprised if a team traded down and got Penix or traded back up to get him, to get that fifth-year option. but who knows. And then the New Orleans Saints, honestly, man, there's a lot of things they could do. Ryan Ramczyk is something that I would be worried about. He's been hurt for the most part of last year, has a lingering knee injury. He's already kind of older. Trevor Penning hasn't been great either. And Olu Fashanu, man, like he's really good. But I think J.C. Latham is probably more game ready than Olu is right now. So just based off that sheer fact, I'm going with J.C. Latham out of Alabama. At the 15 slot here, man, I would love for this to happen. Brock Bowers heading to Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson. Do I think it happens? No. But I wouldn't be surprised. For the sake of this mock, I'm not going to have Brock go yet. Because when I think of the Colts, I think of athletic freaks. And I think of guys that can do a lot of different things. So if you look at these guys, Nate Wiggins still being here. Man, he's 6'2", 185. Kool-Aid is not a fit to me. But I'll tell you who is a fit. I think Cooper DeJean. I know he is not super crazy, like high weight speed, but the dude can do so many different things, and I think the Colts would love that. So Cooper DeJean is headed to the Indianapolis Colts. And here at number 16, man, Seattle is losing a lot of offensive linemen. They've got good tackles, but they need interior. And Jackson Powers-Johnson, man, he is a phenomenal player out of Oregon. Good height, good weight, young, best center in the class. Let's get a guy in the interior, and that's going to be Jackson Powers-Johnson. As for the Jaguars, I'm going to give a running mate with Tyson Campbell. And I'm going to give them Nate Wiggins. I think he's too good to be falling here. So Nate Wiggins is going to be headed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the fall stops for Brock Bowers, guys. The Bengals need a tight end. Irv Smith just really didn't pan out for them. And Brock Bowers is just too good to keep falling. Brock Bowers is a Cincinnati Bengal. And the Rams could do a lot of different things here. They played a lot of young players this year. Quarterback could be in consideration. I would say probably more so they would trade down and get a little bit more capital. Maybe trade back into the first for a guy like Bo Nix, who is still on the board, but I don't see it. They've got more blaring needs. Kobe Turner was nice. I kind of want to give him a DB here. I'm going to give them Terrion Arnold. I feel like they need corner help. He just seems like a good fit. And then let's give a running mate as well to Joey Porter Jr. We're going to give them Kool-Aid McKinstry. Was once considered the number one corner. Has kind of fallen. But, yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry headed to the Steelers. And then you got the Miami Dolphins here. Now, their needs say tight end, O-line. I really think it's more so O-line than anything. And when you look at the two guys I'm in between, it's Amarius Mims and Olu Fashanu. They're both pretty comparable, but this is where it gets tough. You look at games played 7-14-9, and then you look at 12-8-4. I would think that Olu wouldn't even last this long, but I'm going to take Amarius Mims. It's an interesting one, I know, but it just feels like the right move. As for the Eagles, I'm going to give them a receiver 3, and I'm going to give them Brian Thomas Jr. Dude tested very well. 6'4", 205, 21 years old. That receiver core is just absolutely nasty. And I think this is another one that's a no-brainer. Byron Murphy, let's keep him in Texas. Dude also tested really well at the Combine. My favorite defensive tackle in the class personally. And, Man, D'Amico, let's get you a defensive tackle to work with Will Anderson. And here with the Cowboys, it has been said that Tyron Smith is not going to be back with the Cowboys more than likely. He is going to test free agency. So I'm going to go ahead and give them Olu Fashanu. I would think Troy Fautanu is probably more game ready, but with the upside of Olu, I think that's the pick. As for the Green Bay Packers, Troy Fautanu is going to be headed to the Packers. Bakhtiari is probably going to get cut. Hasn't been able to stay healthy anyways. It's kind of a no-brainer. As for the Buccaneers, we need a replacement for Mike Evans, and I'm going to give them Adonai Mitchell, A.D. Mitchell. Tested phenomenal in the 40-yard dash. Had a great day at the combine. And why not replace Mike Evans with another 6'4" receiver? As for the Cardinals, you go with Marvin Harrison in the first with your first pick. I feel like you got to go defense for your second pick. Now, unfortunately for you, your corners are off the board that are really good. But that's not going to stop you from taking Jared Verse. Really good player, productive. Could have been better, but I think it's fine. I think he'll be a good player in the NFL. I think he'll produce immediately. I'm not saying shattering numbers, but I'm thinking he's going to be good right off the bat. Troy Franklin, I'm going to give him to the Bills. He had one of the worst gauntlet drills I think I've ever seen. That dude was all over the place, but the Bills need another receiver. I love Keon Coleman personally, but I think Troy Franklin will get picked first. And then as for the Lions, you're losing a bunch of interior. What better than probably the next best interior offensive lineman in the draft, Graham Barton out of Duke. And man, the Ravens could use so much. Madubuike is going to be back. Receiver is a big need. I think this is where Keon Coleman goes. Big receiver, huge catch radius, has great hands. Lamar Jackson and him with Zay Flowers, awesome. And then San Fran, man, they're kind of in a good spot. I mean, they made the Super Bowl. They're really good. Jerson Newton being here to pair with Nick Bosa, yeah, are you kidding me? Now, this is where it gets interesting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I do think they will be able to bring back Chris Jones. However, I think they will end up trading Snead. I don't like the corners here, so I'm not going to pick a corner. And I feel like Ladd McConkey would just be the guy. But with the hype of what happened yesterday and Patrick Mahomes tweeting about it, I do think where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think Xavier Worthy will somehow end up on the Chiefs. And that is going to round out our draft. Pairing Xavier Worthy, a Tyreek Hill type guy, with Patrick Mahomes would be lethal. We've seen it before. I'm not saying that he is Tyreek, but I'm saying the speed was nice. And he broke out early in his career. So this is a mock draft that I think is going to happen. No trades, obviously. The next one I'm going to do is going to be a 7-round mock, and I'm going to choose a random team. This will be with trades, and we'll go from there. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.